Welcome back to Reliving Retro. This is Season 4, Episode 12. That's right, another season has come and gone. And if you're new here, we pick one game at random every single week. We invite a guest on, and we rate it in 5 categories: story, gameplay, visuals, audio, and aged. And of course, we have our closer back. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, man?
Hey guys, thanks again for having me. I appreciate it. I'm Bill. I'm the host of A Gamer Looks at 40 podcast. And if you've been listening for a while, you've probably seen me a couple times on this fine show. Thank you to these amazing people for allowing me to come on their show and say words. Kind of what I love to do. So yeah, guys, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for coming back, man.
Yeah, absolutely. My pleasure.
We appreciate all your words for sure. As a matter of fact, I think my favorite bit of content that you've helped produce over here is your very lovely. You gave away the award for most disappointing game, or was it worst game? It was worst game. Superman
worst
64.
Game.
Oh, worst. Definitely
and
worst.
I love that you held that honor so prestigiously.
You know what? If you're invited to an award show, you have to be thankful for that, all right? Not every day you're invited to a prestige event. So I apologize. I was recording that from my sister's house in New Jersey over, I guess it was like Christmas break, I think, right? Like around the holiday.
Yeah, around then.
Yeah, it was around.
Yeah. So I was like, oh boy. So I had to set up the phone and lean it against the thing and avoid 10 people in a house. So yeah, it was cool.
It was perfect.
It was a fun video. Yeah, it was a fun video.
Great. All right. So why don't you go ahead and answer a couple questions for us? Just some getting to know you stuff that you've already answered before, but we have quite a bit new subscribers since the last time you've been on. So why don't you go ahead and tell everybody your introduction to gaming, maybe your first console, how you got it, that kind of thing.
Yeah, first console I owned was the NES. When my parents picked it up for me on that Christmas, I'm going to guess 87. It wasn't like them to buy things the year it was released. So I'm going to guess 86, 87. I did not get Mario and Duck Hunt like everybody else. I actually got, they called it, I think, the control deck. And it came with 2 controllers, but no packing game. But it came with a copy of the Nintendo Fun Club newsletter, which would eventually become Nintendo Power.
That's cool.
So I ended up, so I had a Nintendo Fun Club newsletter and then got the original Nintendo Power in the mail. Mario 2 claymation, so cool. And my parents did not get me the first year because it was a bi-monthly magazine. It was every 2 months. And then the second year they ended up getting to me, and I got it had it for like a decade. But anyway, it's for games. I had a Black Box Baseball and Rad Racer. So those were my first 2 games. And I played. Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, no. I was just going to say I've never played Black Box Baseball, but I have played Rad Racer, and Rad Racer's pretty fun. Did you get it with the 3D glasses and everything?
Oh, yeah. Yep. I had the 3D glasses, and I was rocking those. Wish I still had those. That'd be so cool if I had. I should check at my mom's basement where all things just stay in stasis and see what I find there. But I'll rate it one of these days. Anyway.
You should.
Yeah.
For me, it's my mom's attic.
Oh, yeah. Nice. Very cool. But yeah, so that was kind of it. And then I played a lot of Black Box Baseball. I made my own seasons and tracked the player names from, just on pad and paper.
That's awesome.
That's what you do when you have 2 games, and that's your life. So,
right.
Yeah.
So that being said, what are some of your favorite types of games to play, like favorite genres?
I'm a real big fan of immersive sims. So I love like Deus Ex. Fallout's not an immersive sim, but I love the Fallout series. BioShock, not Infinite. I'm one of those. Sorry.
Yeah. No,
I said BioShock and Infinite, not Infinite. Prey and Dishonored. Anything that allows a lot of player expression, I'm really into. So that's kind of my jam.
What are you playing now?
So right now,
Yaiser.
Stone it.
I can have you ask all the questions.
So the game I'm playing right now is I just finished up Majora's Mask about maybe 3 or so weeks ago.
Cool.
For the Zelda series. I'm just finishing up the last episode of my 7-month Zelda series. Yes, it's been 7 months.
That is
started
in
October. Is finishing up this coming Monday. So Monday the 2nd or 3rd, I think it might be the 3rd. And whatever this coming Monday is. But now I'm kind of like bouncing between games. I fiddled around with Disco Elysium for a bit, but I really want to like get into it. I need to get into it.
Yeah.
I wasn't in the headspace, and been dorking around with GoldenEye. Just I'm in the mood to just shoot things. I think just mindlessly
Fair.
shoot things. I don't
Yeah,
know
yeah.
why. But right now, I just today downloaded Final Fantasy VIII because Final Fantasy is going to be the next big series coming out
Oh, wow.
in later this year. So I got some holes to fill in Final Fantasy before I start interviewing for them. So
That's awesome.
start
Very
with
cool.
8 because that's one of my big holes.
I'm very excited for that, especially considering that the Final Fantasy 6 episode that you did with Red Mage, I believe, is one of my favorite episodes of your show.
Oh, cool, man. Thank you. I appreciate that.
That's awesome. So I'm especially interested to hear of Final Fantasy 7, considering that's the one I played the most of.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm a fan of Final Fantasy 7. It's been easy 8 years since I've played it. Probably.
Yeah.
I'll probably just tool through it again, or just kind of refresh myself through the time. These games are just too chunky to like replay them all for the show. So, and I've played most of them at this point.
What's your favorite?
6. 6 is my favorite by a pretty large margin. It is very nostalgic for me. There are nostalgic reasons, but I also think mechanically it holds up beautifully. It plays well. The music's great. Like everything just comes together in that game. And I like 7 a lot, but 6 for me, probably because I was 14 when I played it, or 13 or 14. That helps. But even just objectively, that game is just gorgeous and holds up beautifully. So.
You know what's so cool about the Final Fantasy series, and obviously this isn't a Final Fantasy episode, but it's so cool that even today, like you can find somebody that likes one game more than the other. Like I'm a big fan of 7. I would say 7's probably my favorite, but full disclosure, I haven't played really any other one. I've played 7 and I've played 10 up until Blitzball. That's pretty much it. But I know that there are people that love number 10, that one's their favorite. Yaiser, I believe your favorite's number 9, yeah?
9 is, it's not 9 and 10 are like right there with each other.
But then there's so many, like I would say the amount of people that think that number 7 is the best are like, it's pretty even with the amount of people that think number 6 is the best.
Yeah, it's pretty dead even. I think it also depends on the era as well. I do think nostalgia bakes into these things a little bit.
For sure.
But they are very different flavors of Final Fantasy, and both were a big leap forward. I mean, you can argue that 7 was a quantum leap forward from 6, especially visually and cinematically. But I don't know. I just love the cast of characters of 6. The story I think is great. I think it has these really beautiful moments. I know it's just a game I go back to quite often and play. So
yeah, it's awesome. I can't wait to get to that one on the show.
Yeah, man, absolutely. It's going to be fun. So that series should be starting probably late July, early August. And I'm going to start interviewing for it maybe late next month, probably.
Now, will you be going in chronological order for that series?
Yep. The way I'm going to
organize the NES one.
Yep, I'll start with the NES one, and then I'll probably some of the smaller ones I'll combine like 2 and 3. They don't need 2 and 3 don't need their own show. 5 probably doesn't, but the big 10 pulls like 4, 6. I may do just one on the PS1s, 8 and 9. I'm still working out how that works, and the structure depends really on how many interviews I get and memories I get. If I don't have enough to fill out a full show, like in the Zelda series, Twilight Princess and Skyward were its own one show, and because I just didn't have enough content to warrant 2 shows, so I did something kind of fun with it, almost did like a documentary style docu-pod kind of thing with it. Super fun. So I think it turned out pretty good, but.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so it really just depends on what I get. And if I get like a crazy Final Fantasy V fan, then maybe the show is all that person. I don't know. We'll see.
Cool.
I mean, I don't even think that would be that bad. Like I said, the episode with Red Mage about Final Fantasy VI, I felt like it was done so well, and it was just him on that show. So
yeah, it's really this depends on what you get, and the Zelda series. If people want to go back and check it out, I have an episode with the person who remastered the CDI games. Because I was looking around for a CDI fan group, and I could not find it. I couldn't find anybody who likes the Zelda CDI games.
I was gonna say, wow, that is shocking that you couldn't find a CDI fan group.
But there are CDI enthusiasts, but I couldn't find like a Zelda fan group. And then I just came across this article. This guy remastered Wanda Gamelon and Faces of Evil. I reached out and he said, "Yeah, I'll come on," and we talked for a half an hour, 45 minutes about it. So
that's awesome.
It was, it's pretty cool. Sometimes things like that happen, and I'm open for it.
Yeah, for sure. So
Cool.
yeah, guys, definitely go check out A Gamer Looks at 40 on Spotify. So I think you're everywhere though, right?
Yeah, it's all over the place. Spotify, wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts, except YouTube. I've yet to dive into the YouTube world.
Will you ever start doing video episodes, you think?
I don't know. I do. So I have started a TikTok. You guys do a lot of TikTok stuff, which is pretty cool. I've been throwing up like audio clips of shows with like game footage in the background. I have all this interview content. It's easy to kind of cut them up and just put them into this kind of this quick stuff. And I may do that as shorts on YouTube, but I use a lot of licensed music, and last thing I need are copyright strikes, and it's almost not worth it. But for small clips, it might be. So,
yeah, the copyright strike thing. You know what I mean? Like I think one of our playthrough videos has about 30 seconds of apparently music with copyrights, and it struck the whole video. It was just like, okay, that's cool.
Great.
Cool.
Yeah, it's wild. It's funny too, because like it's so strict where it's nobody's saying we own this. This is our song. Nobody's like, hey, check out our brand new song that we made. It's just something on in the background. You know what I mean?
So arbitrary. It's just so arbitrary, and
it's wild. Like you could be filming at like a grocery store, and then you hear like some Sarah McLachlan or something playing on the PA, and you could get copy stricken for that. Like I'm at the grocery store, bro. What are you talking
I didn't
about?
do this on purpose. I promise you. There's a guy in the corner playing, playing Sarah McLachlan. I didn't do this at all.
It's so weird.
Yeah, I just YouTube. I don't want to. Yeah, YouTube. I just don't want to deal with. And I don't know, bang for buck, I think is. But I might do shorts because again, for that I can use. It's just audio clips from the show. It's interview stuff.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think that would be perfect.
Yeah.
But all right, let's get into the game that we were talking about this week. And that was brought to us by Patreon, which you could join for as little as $2 per month.
$2.
$2, dude. And you can get on there to basically suggest a game for us to play, and it gets put onto a much smaller Patreon list as like in comparison to the huge master list of multiple hundreds of games that we have acquired on that list. So if you want your game played a lot quicker, then Patreon's the way to go. Like I said, it's $2 a month to get a game on there, and that link is in the description below. You can also find us on Twitter, Instagram. We have a Discord, TikTok, as Bill mentioned. And if you're watching us on YouTube, you can listen to us on Spotify. And if you're listening to us on Spotify, you can watch us on YouTube. And also all of our playthroughs, including what we just did on Power Stone 2, can be found on Twitch because we do stream there live once a week. I think that's about it. Let's get talking about Power Stone 2. So quickly, before we get into any of the ratings and the categories and stuff like that, let's go around the room and find out. Yaiser, have you heard of this game before this week? Did you play this game ever?
No, man. Nope.
Never heard of it, right?
Never heard of it.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Never heard of it. No, yeah, never played it.
Because you never had a Dreamcast, right?
I never did. No.
And Bill,
I never owned any Sega ever.
Oh, right. Because you never even had like a Genesis, right?
No.
You missed so much, man. But that's why we're here.
Yep.
I think the first time I played a Genesis was at Thor Malt's birthday party. Me and Dane played Beavis and Butthead on his Genesis while everyone else was outside.
Thor Malt, huh? He used to be my best friend in elementary school.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
You guys were basically neighbors.
We were for a little bit.
I guess everybody was, right?
Yeah.
Pleasantdale boys.
Bill, have you ever played this game before this week?
Yes, I didn't own a Dreamcast, but I'll tell a quick story and then I'll tell another story. So my best friend had a Dreamcast, and he's been a collector for a long, long time, and he used to carry his Dreamcast with him wherever he went. He had it in his car.
That's
one of my formative moments was we went to a McDonald's, and I'm from northern New Jersey, so we went to a McDonald's that was on the Parkway, and it was a big McDonald's, and they had like TVs in the eating area. We actually went there with his Dreamcast, plugged it into one of the TVs in the dining area, and played Crazy Taxi while munching on like burgers and fries. It was the cool, because we're like,
you guys
were driving along. No. Well, I guess it was because it was a big McDonald's, and it was huge. Like it's a huge like Parkway style, like highway side McDonald's, and we were kind of around this L bend where no one really saw us. And even if people did, the kids there aren't going to care. They're all, probably kids probably like, hey, I want to play. But the first time I played Power Stone 2, there is a brewery here in Austin called Oddwood, I think. This just escaped me, but there's a brewery here in town that in their tap room they have a bunch of different video game consoles. They have an N64 with Mario Kart with a bunch of chairs. You can sit and play a tournament. They'll have a Genesis. They have all these different consoles, and one of them is a Dreamcast. And I walked up. It was one day I was at the bar, and I walked up, and they had this weird fighting game with all these insane characters. And I'm like, I think this is Power Stone 2 based off of Reputation, because I've heard about this game a ton, but never played it. And I spent a good half an hour tooling around. I won't say I was drunkenly tooling around. Let's just say I was inebriatedly tooling around.
Buzzed.
Just hang out at a brewery, not drinking, right?
Yeah, of course, right? Because as people do. So that was my first brush with Power Stone 2. So when it came up on that list, I was like, ooh, I'd like to really, really play this, sober. But so that's kind of where I land on it.
That's awesome. I grew up with a Dreamcast. I actually got it for Christmas one year, and I had never even asked for it. So it was one of those things where my mom just kind of surprised me with some sort of video game present that I never asked for, which is so cool. And so I got that, and I believe my first two games for it were Sonic Adventure and Sega Bass Fishing. And then my sister, who worked at Toys R Us at the time, had this friend there, and he burned Dreamcast games. And that was one of the biggest downfalls for the Dreamcast, is that their games were so easily burnable onto just blank CDs. Damn. And he burned me any game that I wanted. She came home with an entire binder full of burned games at one point. And that's how I experienced Power Stone 2. So it's pretty cool. Highly illegal, I think. But it's a lot of fun. When you're a kid and you don't have money, and your sister's like, hey, here's a bunch of games that totally work in your console. I'm like,
here's the entire Dreamcast library.
Wow.
I mean, I don't know if it was probably 25 or so games. Yeah. A lot of them were sports games, because I was super into that kind of stuff. NFL 2K, NFL 2K1, WWF Royal Rumble, that kind of stuff. Choo Choo Rocket was another one that for some reason I remember a lot of. But yeah, so I played it a lot as a kid. I think my brother, who was in the live stream yesterday, said, this game was more fun playing it in a tent. I don't know if you remember that comment, Yaiser, but he had said, yeah. So we used to set up a tent in our bedroom. We had a joint, pretty big bedroom, and we used to set up a tent in that bedroom, and then we would put TVs in there, and we would just play Sega Dreamcast all night in the tent.
That's so fun.
It's very interesting. I don't know why we did that,
fun.
but it was a good time.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I played this game a ton. As for this week, I played it for a couple hours, and I got about an hour in with Yaiser, and that's about as much as you played, right, buddy?
Oh yeah. I didn't play any more than that.
Yeah. But what about you, Bill?
Fun.
I got about an hour and change over, maybe actually more hour and a half over the course of a few days. It's a great game because you just pick it up and play for 20 minutes and not have to invest a ton of time at once. So it was a great situation for me where I could just pick it up at night and hack around with it for about a half an hour or so. It was fun. We'll get into it, but it's a good time.
Bill, did you beat the game this week?
I did. I think it's a very short game. The adventure mode is very short. So if the giant green monster eating and drinking at the table as you're trying to hit him with bazookas and swords is the last boss, then yes, I completed it a couple times.
Yeah, same with me and Yaiser. We beat it co-op. I did not really play it single player, but I do remember playing it single player as a kid. It's not really a whole lot different other than the fact that you're playing it by yourself.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into story. All right, the story for this one is fairly lackluster, in my opinion. There is a cool little cutscene, I will say that much, but it doesn't give you a ton of info. So basically, and I'm reading this straight out of the manual, so this is what it says. It is the 19th century, a romantic era. Superstitions and legends are alive and powerful. With dreams of vast fortunes, adventurers seek the legendary power stones, magical stones that will make any wish come true. A mysterious floating castle emerges in the darkly clouded sky. Its huge shadow covers the world with a ground-quaking roar. The Power Stone fighters are captured and held prisoner within its walls by a mysterious force. A new adventure is beginning. And that's kind of all it gives you.
That's it, huh?
That's
pretty much it. So I don't know. Yaiser, what do you think here for a score?
God damn you. Man, I don't even.
Hey, I read it first, man.
Are you taken aback by the story presented to you by this game?
No, I'm not. Like that doesn't even tell a story really. It's just like saying that there are stones. It's not a story, you know what I mean? And I guess I don't know. I guess there is a bit of a story with the narrating guy. Cool as hell.
Hey, the narration guy sounds great.
Love that guy. Love him.
They can only afford like 8 lines from him though. They couldn't get him to like voice the actors or the characters. It's all still in Japanese, but
no. I'm gonna go. I'll go 2 for the narration guy. I'll give him a 2.
Okay. I'm gonna piggyback off you guys here. I was at a 2, and then I was like, you know what? I wanted the manual to give me a little bit more than the cutscene did, and it was literally exactly the same. Normally, what happens with a lot of these games is you get a cutscene kind of briefly explaining why your characters are in the situation they are, and then you get a lot more either character background info or just what's going on in the manual, and you don't get any of that. So I dropped it to a 1.5 because there is a little bit of story, but it's really not there at all. And honestly, the story that is there isn't very interesting. What about you, Bill?
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting. I really kind of went back and forth on this when thinking about it because this kind of game doesn't really need a story. We're really not here for it. And if there was a story, we probably wouldn't care. So I kind of landed on it with a different metric of just 3 because I don't expect you to have a story. You're a fighting game. You're a silly fighting game with awesome, weird mechanics and power gems. The very fact that you even set anything up is a miracle. I would consider knocking it down to like a 2.5 because in a fighting game, there is the expectation of at least the characters having some sort of story, like a Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat. You beat the game, you get some little nugget. This game does not do that. So I was almost 2.5 for that reason. But at the end of the day, I don't think this game would be a plus or a negative with the story or without it. So I say I'm just gonna give you a C average. If I could, I would just give it a not applicable because I don't think this game
just
really requires like a dash. But that would mess up all the metrics, and then the grade point average is bad, and the kid can't get to college. So I'm just gonna give him a passing grade C because I didn't expect you to have much anyway.
There you go. That's all I tried to do through high school. My mom kind of expected the same thing. She's like, I didn't really expect that much from you. As long as you got a C+, I'm cool.
Dang, you got C's?
Dude.
Nice.
Thank you. Finally, some recognition around here.
Yeah, better than what I got, man.
All right. I think that pretty much does it for story. Let's move on to gameplay here. All right, Bill, you want to take it over for gameplay?
Yeah, gameplay for this one's a 4.5. I love how this game plays. It's a very well-tuned game. I wouldn't say it's a fair game, but I definitely think it's a very well-tuned game. Jumping feels great. Attacking has weight and heft to it. There's a variety of the stages are small. There's only a few stages, but they're incredible in their design. I think 4.5 for we're on gameplay, right?
Yep.
Gameplay, yeah. So 4.5 because again, it controls like butter and it's easy to pick up and figure out. I don't know if there's any like real special moves. I was trying to work it out, but I couldn't figure it out if there was. The 3 gem system is really easy to figure out. There's tons of weapons. I mean, it's a blast. It's so much fun to play. I unfortunately couldn't wrangle another person to play with, which I think might be the next kind of step. I'd like to give my son a controller and him mess around with it because I think he could figure it out.
Probably
play Shredder's Revenge. If you can do that, then you could absolutely play Power Stone.
I just beat Shredder's Revenge this week. It's good.
It's good. It's great. So anyway, long story short, I would definitely give it a 4.5. I think it's an absolute blast to play.
Okay. I agree with you. It's an absolute blast to play. It is very, very easy to just pick up and learn. You can learn it in 10 minutes, if that.
Yeah.
Very quickly.
Yeah.
There's basically 2 buttons. You know what I mean? Like you're running around, there's a button to jump, there's a button to pretty much just combo, and that's essentially it. And then when you get the gems, you can hit the 2 trigger buttons to do your special, essentially. And that's pretty much it. There are a little bit more like intricacies, I guess, where you can get money and buy items and then mix items together to make better items. And for the most part, these item mixing things, they kind of make sense, right? You like combine 2 guns together, they make a bigger gun. Or if you combine like a sword and like a long pole together, you make a pitchfork. Stuff like that. And you can make some like super rare and like powerful items this way. I remember as a kid, this is what I spent most of my time doing. Once you beat the game a few times, you learn all the mixing of items and stuff like that. That's really where you spend most of your time if you're going to keep playing this game. And that's why I landed on a 4 instead of a 4.5 is because this game is just too short for me. You can experience everything you need to pretty much in an hour. And that's where I think its biggest flaw is. It's just the fact that it's way too short. But
that's fair.
But I think Bill kind of nailed everything else. It's so much fun to play. It's very intuitive. Literally anybody could pick it up and play it. I think a 3-year-old could do it. I think my mom could play it. You know what I mean? Anywhere between that, I think you could probably play this game. I do have a question for you though, quickly, Bill. What characters did you use?
So it's funny. I went to this very blind. I just kind of went through the character select and I found an insane chef wielding a pan and I think he was wearing a cleaver. So I went gourmand. That was my guy.
Cool.
And I've tried a few others. I like the little skittering, creepy horror creature. Maybe Jack, is that right? I
Jack,
can't remember that.
Yaiser's
Is it
boy.
Jack? Yeah, Jack is super cool. And I just had a hard time with gourmand because he can't jump worth anything. But other than that, I just liked his power. He's a strong dude. Not quite as big as the big guy. So I really stuck with gourmand. I just thought he was some goofy chef who turns into a Tyrannosaurus Rex. So I was like, that's awesome.
Oh shit, he does. That's cool as hell.
He's a goofy chef that turns into a Tyrannosaurus. I'm like, that's my guy. I just connected immediately. I saw him and they were like, you're my dude.
That is cool. During our playthrough, we didn't get enough time to, test out all the characters and stuff. But I think that is another point in its favor is that it does have, I believe, 12 playable characters.
Something like that. Yeah, I want to say that's right.
And for the most part, they're pretty different. I mean, not their move sets. All the moves are all the same. It's combo with Y or whatever button it is, and then you still do the special with the back 2 triggers. Yaiser, what about you for gameplay? Would you rate?
So I'm in here at a 3.5.
Okay.
Because it was pretty fun, but like you guys were saying, it's basically you just fucking spam one button to attack. You gather, the gems, and you get your special, and then when you get your special, the reason why, because it was fun. It's more fun than like I think a 3.5 would say, but like I had to knock it down a little bit because once you got your special, you can't like aim at any particular person.
It's very hard to aim your special. I will say that.
I don't think you can. I don't think it's hard to. I think you can't.
Just impossible.
I think it just goes wherever the fuck it wants.
Yeah.
Like I was the chick. I don't know her name. The girl with the shurikens for her special.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm trying to aim. Like I'm throwing the things. I'm trying to hit up, but they're still somehow found their way to Rigney on the bottom of my screen over here when I wasn't trying to hit you. But
yeah, that's another thing that actually made me not give it a 4.5 is the fact that when you're playing co-op, there's friendly fire. I don't know if you can turn that off or not.
I didn't know that. Yeah, that would knock it down a bit for me. I can't stand when that happens.
Yeah, you can absolutely destroy it.
Interesting.
I believe your character that you used was Ayami.
Yeah,
Yaiser?
maybe that was her. Yeah.
It
was cool. Super fun to play.
Yeah, she seemed OP, to be honest. She seemed really fast. Yeah, the shurikens were wild.
The shurikens were hella powerful. Yeah.
I
mean, it wasn't a spirit bomb, but
I think the shurikens were worse, man.
I don't know. I don't know if they were.
When I played as Galuda a little bit there. and he's a pretty big dude. And then I also played as Wang Tang, and that guy is the guy that I always used to play as a kid because I was a big Dragon Ball Z fan, and I used to just call him Goku because essentially when he gets his his special or whatever, when he gets all 3 gems, he essentially just turns into a Super Saiyan. His hair gets all yellow and spiky, and then he literally just does a spirit bomb.
Yep,
which is amazing. Yeah. So
it's a really good special too. It's really
so good.
It really is great.
So goddamn good.
I will say too, there is a piece of the gameplay though we didn't mention, which I think might bump it up a half a point. So if I deduct it 4.2 of 4 because of the friendly fire that I did not know about, this will put it back up to 4.5. Evidently, you can use the VMU, which is the save cartridge with the little screen on it, which by the way is one of the best peripherals ever in the history of games. The VMU. So cool. The fact you can play little games on your memory card is insanity. It's so good. Evidently, you can use that to inspect your inventory and trade with another player. So if you had it and you had a buddy with Power Stone, you both had your VMU, you could evidently use that to trade stuff. That makes it 4.5. And the item shop itself is really cool. And I could see myself spending a lot of time collecting cards, collecting things and using that. It felt like Breath of the Wild for me a bit, like because you can combine 2 things that make no sense and nothing happens. You get garbage out and then it's like wah wah, and you just wasted 2 items. So I could totally see myself really getting into that item combining mechanic. So I'm putting it 4.5 is where I'm landing for sure.
I think it's fair because the game is really, really fun. Like I said, if it were just a little bit longer, I'd probably be right there with you.
That's fair.
And maybe if I got back into the item mixing and stuff like that, because like I said, I did play that. I did do that a ton as a kid, especially somebody who grew up playing Monster Rancher and like how you can mix monsters and stuff like that.
Right.
I absolutely loved every aspect of that. And the item mixing thing it's a whole nother monster, like a whole nother portion of the game that you can get into, which is definitely a bonus. As far as gameplay goes, I think that's about it for me. I do want to agree though quickly with Bill that the levels are fantastic for the most part. They're so good.
Yeah. There could have been a few more, I guess, but like they were fun. What came out? Did Smash Bros for N64 came out before this, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I believe Smash Bros came out in 96, and the earliest this could have come out is probably like 2000. Because this is the second one for the Dreamcast, and Dreamcast came out in 99.
It almost felt, I mean, I don't know, I don't want to say directly, but it felt
like a Smash Bros. Ripoff?
Direct ripoff to me. I know I said that a couple times during the stream. Like, I don't know.
I could see it. There's certain, I mean, you even said it when you picked up the hammer, right? You expected it to go like yeah. It didn't, but
it didn't make the noise. But
it's funny though because it does have a ton of like sort of like hidden references to like the Dragon Ball Z stuff, and then obviously there's a ton of comparisons to Smash Bros. I don't know. I still just enjoyed this game so much that I don't even care.
That's fine. Yeah, that's
they did their fine. They did their own thing. So
yeah. All right, let's head over to visuals. All right, Yaiser, let's kick it off.
I thought it looked great, dude. I mean, I'm a little upset that I never had a Dreamcast growing up because, I mean, at least on Redream, all these games that we've played so far that were for the Dreamcast, they just look amazing. Like for the time even. Like,
yep.
I don't know how they did it. I don't know how Sega failed, honestly, when this is what the last thing they did. And it was this good. Like I don't know how they didn't do more, but yeah, it looked great. All the characters were really cool looking, all of them, and like we were just saying, all the levels were dope. I'm at a 4. I mean, I could honestly be a little higher than that if you guys want to convince me, but I'm at a 4 for now.
Well, what? How about Bill goes next and see if he convinces you to go higher?
I'm gonna put it. I'm so close to a 5 because I think this game is gorgeous. But I'm gonna put it down to 4.5 because I think 5 is like a rarefied territory. But this game looks gorgeous. I mean, I think the character designs are interesting and varied. Even the standard character, like your standard female character or Goku character. They're still very well designed. There's lots of variety. The stages look gorgeous. Everything has this beautiful bit of polish on it.
Oh,
and
except one thing. I'm sorry, I interject.
No, you're fine. No, go for it.
The castle.
The castle didn't really look like a castle.
It's fair.
It looked like a bunch of random mounds of like
it
rock
looked like
wieners.
A bunch of
fair
wieners. It looked like stone pillars. Stone pillars, yeah.
Oh, rock wieners.
Rock Wieners is definitely a punk band from like the late 90s. Late 90s Bay Area scene, opening for Green Day, the Rock Wieners.
The Rock Wieners. Dude, that's a great fucking band name.
So I still would put it at 4.5, I guess considering the Rock Wieners. I just think this game has a very Dreamcast look to it. It feels like the sort of game that would only exist on that system. For whatever reason, I've only experienced a few games on it. But my experience with Dreamcast, everything's very crisp, very bright, and not so much detail, just crisp. There's like just a really crisp feel to these graphics, very clean, and they hold up so beautifully today. So definitely a 4.5 for me.
Yeah,
they do. The visuals remind me a lot of stuff that you would find in an arcade even today.
Yeah, totally.
I get that vibe with a lot of Dreamcast games where like. That I don't know why, but I just get that vibe from Dreamcast in general. It's just arcade games, arcade quality type of games. But I think that the thing that blew me away the most with the visuals here are all of the specials. For example, the Wang Tang Spirit Bomb. I don't know if that's the name of the move, but I'm gonna call it the Spirit Bomb. And I don't know the name of this one either. But Pete, the little kid with the backpack, he turns into a robot. And then he essentially has like all those like
nutcrackers.
Nutcrackers, right? He has all those nutcrackers that go in front of him, and then they go like back and forth like a sprinkler, just like machine gun firing. And it looks
dude.
It looks so good. I landed at a 4.5 also because I felt like the visuals were they were very, very good, like top notch for the console probably. So yeah, just I felt like and the environments with the levels and stuff I thought looked really, really nice. And there was no slowdown or anything like that. You didn't deal with any like glitching or everything seemed just really nice, like really polished. So definitely landed on a 4.5 there.
Yeah. It's cool how the levels like evolved as you play it too.
Yeah.
I'm with you guys. I'll go 4.5 with you guys.
We did it. We convinced him.
Yes.
You got me.
Great. The level evolution is really cool. It's a really cool aspect. And I think if you told me Smash Bros on like an isometric like 3D plane, I don't think that'd work, right? Because Smash Bros is typically played on just like a 2D map normally.
Yeah. I mean the Pokemon Stadium kind of evolves a little bit, but it's still
for sure, but it's still like a 2D, like there's no depth to the levels on Smash Bros.
Right,
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Plus Smash Bros really depends on knockouts as well, like stage outs. Yeah. So I think that probably was the biggest difference between the two.
And we didn't bring it up really for gameplay, but I think it does deserve a little bit of credit here, is that you can play with the environment as well. Like if you don't feel comfortable in your skills to be up close with somebody punching and kicking, you can just go grab a sarcophagus and just chuck it at somebody and they get stuck in the sarcophagus for a few minutes. You know what I mean?
Good.
So yeah, so
just jump into a turret and just start shooting people with rockets. It's madness and bedlam, and it's so great.
There's so many different ways to play the game, and I love that you can use the environment. So the levels are a huge A+ for me. All right, let's get into sound.
Okay, I'll start. The music, I don't know. I don't think we played enough for me to really, to get familiar with the music, but none of it like stood out to me. It wasn't like, I don't know. None of it was some shit that I would like want to listen to again, but it wasn't like
very noteworthy.
Right. But it wasn't annoying either. So some of the sound effects, however, like the voices of the characters in battle, like just making the same sounds over and over and over again, were a little bit annoying to me. But then to take it right back, was the fucking announcer guy, dude. The narrator, that guy.
Great.
His voice was fucking silky smooth, right? So I think
sound good.
I'm gonna. So I'm right down the middle with the music. Took it down a little bit for some of, the character voices being a little repetitive and annoying. But the narrator guy puts me right back over middle here. I'm going with a 3.
Perfect. That's actually exactly where I landed, and pretty much for all the same reasons. I don't think any of the sound effects are super annoying or anything like that, except for the character voices. And they do kind of repeat themselves a lot. You just hear kind of the same sayings over and over and over again. Luckily, the game's not that long, so it doesn't annoy me too much.
Yeah.
But, the narrator's cool, and, the music's kind of just so. I do land on a 3 there. What about you, Bill?
I'm going to up it to a 3.5. Again, but mainly for the reasons y'all mentioned as well. The music it's workmanlike. It's good, but not great, not memorable, but certainly not annoying either. The announcer bumps it up a half a point because he is fantastic. And I think that the grunts and the actual sound effects in the game carry a lot of weight. I in fighting games especially, the sound of collisions and hits and kicks really adds to the experience. And if they don't, the sound gives that action weight, and the game does a very good job with those sound effects to do that. I would like to have a little more, almost like a Street Fighter, where you have a varied type of attack. So if it's a light attack, it's a heavy attack, it's a that's not a very good sound effect, but whatever.
Both of them.
Yeah, it's fine. And so it doesn't do that so much, but it's a more simplistic style of game. So I'm gonna put it at 3.5. Again, the music is nothing to write home about, but the sound effects do their job very well in delivering that punch and that feel. The announcer just kicks it up to a 0.5. So that's where I'm at.
And I think the sound is right there with the visuals and the fact that it just feels very arcadey. Like I could have been at David Buster's playing this game, and it just seems very like it fits there. You know what I mean?
Yep.
All right, let's move over to Aged. I'll get it started with Aged because I think this game ages really, really well for the very simple fact that it's so easy to just pick up and play. I think that's a huge thing when it comes to Aged. You don't feel very limited, even by like the Dreamcast controller. Some people are not a fan of the Dreamcast controller. I think it's fine. I don't know. I think some people complain about it a little too much, but I get it, I guess. I think it ages very well considering the visuals still look very, very good. The sound sounds perfectly fine. There's nothing really wrong with the sound at all. Gameplay is so good that like I said, you can just go in, pick it up. Very intuitive, very easy to play. And what's great about it now too is just, and I don't know if this would really count for age because I'm going to count it. I'm older now, right? I have less time to play video games. So the fact that I can just pick this up and there's not a huge learning curve and I can just play through most of it is actually kind of a positive, even though I took that away in gameplay a little bit because it was too short.
Sure.
But being able to experience most of the game in a short amount of time, I think does kind of age it fairly well, considering we don't have a whole lot of time to play games nowadays. But yeah, I landed at a 4 for Aged. I just felt like it's fine. It's great. Like I said, I felt like I could have played it in the arcade at Dave & Buster's. What about you, Yaiser?
I didn't quite get there with you.
I hate you
a lot because it was easy to play basically because you just hit one button the whole time. You know what I mean? So I thought even with the controller they had back then, I feel like they could have done more with it. And I mean, I don't know. I feel like they could have done more.
That's fair.
And they could have added more sound effects for like your attacks.
Yep.
I feel like there was one sound for every attack you did. And basically, if you didn't have your special, one button that you're hitting the whole time, other than jump.
There's another button to pick up stuff, right?
Oh, and pick up stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, to pick up stuff that you had to throw at people because you only could punch them otherwise.
Yeah, exactly. So, I was at a 3 here. I didn't. It was
okay.
Again, easy to play.
Yeah,
fun to play, but they're it left something to be desired, I think, a little bit.
I think it's fair.
Yeah.
What about you, Bill?
So for me, I put it at a 4.5. I think this game has aged beautifully. I think 5 is reserved for got better with time. And I think there's only a few games you could say actually have improved with time.
Mhm.
But as far as age go, if you release this on the Switch as an indie game for $15 and called it Faux Bros or whatever, right? Because it would play just as beautifully, it'd be just as well received, be just as fun.
Yeah.
There's something timeless about a lot of those Dreamcast games, not only visually and not only audibly, but it's just the way they play in your hands. And it is simple. Yaiser, I definitely agree. But again, we still have games like, again, your Shredder's Revenge that are basically button mashers. I think there's still a place in the world for games you can pick up, play with two buttons, not have to worry about combos or anything crazy, and still have a good time. So I put this at 4.5. I think this is aged beautifully, and this is going to be one of those games that I will definitely pop in now and again if I have 20 minutes to kill while waiting for something, or waiting for my kid to stop watching Bubble Guppies so I can do something else. Boom, Steam Deck, Power Stone 2. I could definitely see myself doing it again.
Does the Steam Deck play Dreamcast well?
Oh yeah,
Nice.
I mean it's great. It took me a bit to get it rolling, but once I got it rolling, it was beautiful. It's perfect. Not an issue at all.
It was with Redream, right? Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. It's a thing that just ran. There's emulation station. There's a thing, and there's
I see.
I don't know. It's beyond me. I just follow the guides online, and then I say, "Yay, it works," and then I call it a day. I only load games I want to. I don't have like every game known to creation on there. I just put the ones on that I want. But yeah,
nice. No, that's cool though. All right. So as far as total scores go, Yaiser came in at the lowest at a 3.2. I came in next at a 3.3, and Bill came in at a 4. A solid round 4.
Oh,
nice.
Which is very nice.
I'll take it.
Yeah. I had a lot of fun playing this game, and we actually had a buddy that played the game along with us this week, and so our good buddy DMC is going to drop in with a video right now, and take it away, man.
Welcome to the Power Stone world. This week we're taking a look at Power Stone 2 for the Sega Dreamcast, and this is actually my first time ever playing an entry in this series. I'm a huge Dreamcast fan, and I know it's kind of weird to think I've never gotten to one of these, so I'm really excited to share my experience with this entry. What's a good fighting game without a roster? And I have to say I was pretty impressed with the 12 characters here. I mainly stuck with Gunrock and Ryoma. I feel like Gunrock was the heavy tank, where Ryoma was much faster and kind of fun to split up my playstyle. As far as game modes, there's Adventure, Original, Arcade, and One-on-One, which I didn't really get a chance to play with anybody. Well, kind of. Another one for me. Pretty bad at this. You sure you want to play again? Okay. Which is definitely a bummer for me at least, because I can tell this game would be an absolute blast with 4 players. The chaos, the frenzy that's going on. Playing with computers was fine, but when you've got buddies sitting next to you and you're chucking a button at them that launches missiles and then someone jumps into a turret, that just sounds like a good time. So in my case, I mainly stuck to the adventure mode, which had you trying to escape from some form of castle, and it would pitch you on a one-on-one fight against a computer. However, there was also mini-bosses, which were a surprise to me. There's a mecha sphinx that you have to do battle with one-on-one, or there's also a, character ripped out of Banjo-Kazooie that attacks you with food? It was a bizarre battle, I have to say, and it's something I did not expect, and definitely a wild one. I love the way this game looked and really enjoyed the stages. The stage variants may be my favorite part. It's not a long list, but each one has several phases that keep the momentum moving, like this airship that falls apart in the sky, or this neat conversion from a 3D space to a 2.5D platforming section. These transitions occur frequently enough in the stages that it keeps them fresh and exciting. The actual gameplay is rock solid. Simple controls with a wide variety of items leads to the game's accessibility. It really feels like anyone could pick this up and have a chance to hold their own rather quickly amongst friends. However, you can also tell this game is arcade inspired with some bogus deaths and this ridiculous hallway that just felt totally unfair to me. This one is tough to have a complete opinion on, having only played alone. I can see that with a group of friends it would be a riot, something more like a goofy Smash Bros experience. I can also see why the PSP release left off the online multiplayer, because you'd really have to be around a TV set with friends to get the best experience, which I think the next time with some gaming buddies, we're gonna do. Thanks again for having me on. My name is DMCPCRT, where you can find me on TikTok, YouTube, or on Twitch, streaming at that same name. Lately, we've been taking on Resident Evil 4 Remake and having a great time with it. Thanks again, and cheers.
All right, thank you, DMC. Appreciate it, buddy. So you guys can go follow DMC. His name is DMCPCRT over on TikTok and on Twitch. He streams on Twitch almost every single day, so check him out over there. All right, so let's go around the room one last time. Would we recommend people to relive this game, Yaiser?
Yeah.
Very convincing. Very, very convincing.
If you've always wondered if you should play this game, then yeah, go ahead. But if you have no idea what this game is and don't really give a shit, it's not. I wouldn't.
It's not a must play for you.
No, it's not a must play. But if it's something you always wondered about, and yeah, sure, it is pretty fun. Grab a friend and play it. But if you have no idea and don't really care, and it's definitely don't go out of your way to play it. I don't think.
Okay, Bill.
I disagree. I say you definitely should. You should. I think you should definitely go out and play it. This is a really delicious piece of cake. It's you eat it real quick. It doesn't linger. There's no nutritional value, but it's really, really tasty while you're in it. So I can't tell somebody not to eat cake. So I could never tell somebody not to play this game. I think everyone should give it a shot. If you haven't, it's not too terribly hard to emulate. Again, I have a Steam Deck and it didn't take too long. And and shoot, if you just get your hands on it, original hardware, I'm sure it's even better. But yeah, that's I had a blast with it, and I definitely recommend people roll through it in a half an hour and see how you like it. I think it's great.
I think Bill just invented a new segment for the show where we compare the game we just played to a food.
There we go. That's good. Not bad.
Might be pretty fun.
Superman 64 is a moldy piece of bread. So steer clear.
That was really nice. That was the nicest thing that's ever been said about it.
It's definitely worse than that.
It's like strychnine. It's like hemlock.
Gosh.
Oh, boy.
It's the bomb. That's what Superman 64 is. It's the hot sauce, the bomb, because it's like if you really want to experience it, then it's there to experience. But people only use it just for the pain. You know what I mean? That's it.
Yeah, but I mean, no, it's even worse than that, dude, because you get endorphin release, at least from that capsaicin,
I guess. I would recommend playing Power Stone 2. I think if I had to make a top 5 list for the Dreamcast, this definitely makes it. So any game in the top 5 for a console for me is a must play.
Damn, okay. Shit.
Yeah, so Power Stone 2, I think you should definitely go out and play it. Especially if you're into Smash Bros. Why not give it a shot? Because it's a 3D isometric Smash Bros. It's a little bit different.
Actually, yeah.
You know what I mean? Give it a shot.
That's fair.
And I would love to see this show up on Steam or Switch or somewhere where we could play 4-player co-op online.
That would be
how
so cool.
Wonderful would that be? That would be the most fun.
Yeah, Power
that
Stone
would be a day one purchase for me. So
Power Stone as a series, unfortunately, has really died, and it died off really quickly. And I think the main reason it did is because Capcom just has too many IPs that they're more concerned with, and they have a lot of fighting IPs already. Right. So I don't think that they're overly concerned about Power Stone. They had Power Stone and then Power Stone 2, both released for the Dreamcast, and then they had a Power Stone collection, which I believe was just Power Stone 1 and 2 that came out for the PSP. Since then, there's been no release. So it would be great to bring back Power Stone at some point, even if it was just on Steam.
Yeah, Steam or Switch, I think would be fantastic. Just again, do a look, couch co-op or online co-op. I think it would be an absolute blast, and that would be like a day one purchase for me. That'd be so fun to get 3 people together and have fun.
Yeah, I think so. I think it'd be a great time.
Yeah.
All right, this is the time of the show where we hit the randomizer and we figure out what we're playing next week. Although it's not next week for this one because we are playing an RPG for the next 2 weeks. That's how that works. So if you guys are ready, I am going to hit that randomizer and then I'll vaguely describe the game to Bill to see if he can get it.
All right.
All ready? Let's hit it.
Spin it.
All right. We have a third-person, top-down, real-time action RPG developed by Blue Sky Software, published by Sega. Now, there is another version that came out for the Super Nintendo. Yaiser will be playing one version. I will be playing another version. So we haven't decided who's playing the Genesis version, who's playing the Super Nintendo version yet.
Okay.
But this game was released in 1994 for both consoles.
Okay, so 94, action RPG, both consoles, isometric. Blue Sky was the developer? I'm not familiar with Blue Sky.
Yes.
Action RPG, Breath of Fire 2? No, Squaresoft, so that's not right. Shoot. So I don't know. I'm just rolling out of my head. Would it be Lufia? Like one of the Lufia games?
It is not Lufia, but I will tell you that if SNES is what you're going for, the publisher for the SNES was Data East.
Oh.
They had different publishers for each console.
Okay. Doesn't help. I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't know Blue Sky, the developer, so I think that's where I'm gonna get stuck.
I don't know either. So
it is Shadowrun.
Oh wow, okay.
Shadowrun.
Nice. I would never have gotten there, but yeah, that's cool. Nice.
Yeah. Apparently this game is loosely based on the novel Never Deal with a Dragon by Shadowrun co-creator Robert Charette.
Right on.
Never deal with a dragon.
Yep.
Nice.
What if a dragon confronts itself? Like you
just don't deal with it, dude. You just
gotta deal with it.
Ignore it. Like just kind of.
Yeah, I think you're just like this thing doesn't exist.
That's how dragons work.
You just turn around and leave it alone. I'm pretty sure. But yeah, so we will be joined by our buddies over at Drink a Beer, Play a Game.
Cool.
Oh, sick.
Yes. So one of them enjoys the Super Nintendo version much better, and one of them enjoys the Genesis version much better. You will find out who enjoys which on our episode in 2 weeks. So we thought it'd be pretty fun to change up our formula a little bit here. Like I said, Yaiser's going to be playing one version. I will be playing the other. And maybe we'll argue about which one's better. Maybe we'll argue about which one's worse. I guess we'll see how we like the game. But yeah, Bill, this is the part where we ask for a recommendation to put on our master list. And again, we consider retro anything before the Wii, PS3, and Xbox 360 generation. So if you have anything that we should play,
so again, but not including the Wii, right?
Not including the Wii, no.
Okay, so anything before. Okay,
correct.
So I'm going to see. I'm just trying to think of the first thing that comes to mind. I want to give you guys a break and not have to do an RPG. Let's do. Have you guys done Perfect Dark yet?
We haven't done Perfect Dark yet.
Perfect Dark.
Cool. We actually haven't done GoldenEye yet either.
Well, I'm gonna stick with Perfect Dark because I think it'd be a little more interesting. I mean, GoldenEye, I'm playing it right now. It's funny. I'm critical of that game, but it's still, I don't know. It's still kind of fun. I'm enjoying tooling around in GoldenEye.
Oh, dude, I tried to play it on Switch, and it's just too hard to play.
I can't. I have it on. I'm doing it on Steam Deck. I own it on. Well, I have it on Switch because of Switch Online. The Switch is so hard to play for that game. I had to do it on my Steam Deck that I stole. So I'm playing my stolen copy of GoldenEye as opposed to the actually Nintendo sanctioned version on Switch because the Joy-Cons are a bottom 3 worst controller ever made.
I hate Joy-Cons.
They're the absolute worst. So
I love the Switch, hate the Joy-Cons. I don't know if there's been another I don't know if there's been another console where I love the console so much and just absolutely loathe the controller.
The original Xbox controller, that big beefy bitch.
See, I never played it.
I'd rather use the Duke than the Joy-Cons.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I never minded the N64 controller. I know people hate it. I never minded it as a kid, and I don't know. So I'm playing it on my Steam Deck, and it's actually not as sensitive, and you can adjust sensitivities and such.
And you can probably map all your controls too. Right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so you don't have to really deal with just the hell that is the Joy-Con. So anyway, Perfect Dark. I'm gonna challenge you all with that one.
Cool.
That sounds good. It has been added to the master list.
Awesome.
Why don't you go ahead and tell?
From Blockbuster.
You rented it from Blockbuster?
Back in the day, yeah.
Very nice. I never played it. I was always a GoldenEye boy.
Yeah, I think there was even like one map that was almost identical to a GoldenEye map. Is that true?
I don't know.
I don't remember.
We'll have to find out eventually.
Yep, eventually.
All right.
All right, Bill, why don't you tell them where they can find you one last time?
Yeah, so I can be found at a gamer looks at 40 on Twitter. That's kind of the hub. That's where everything lives. At some point this year, I'll make a website to make everything extremely easy. But for now, a gamer looks at 40 on Twitter. It's where I'm the most active on social media. I'm also on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok, but not nearly as active as Twitter. And the show can be found anywhere you listen to podcasts. I haven't heard of a platform yet that does not carry the show. So check it out. If you like Zelda, you got
a lot to listen to.
20, 15 something episodes to enjoy. So definitely check it out. I'm really proud of it as a body of work. I am actually very, very proud of how it all came out and came together. So
yeah,
check it out. I think it's a good time.
Cool.
Yeah, definitely go check out the podcast. And one last time, this episode was a Patreon episode. So if you wanted to check that out, link is in the description below. $2 a month to support us on Patreon, and you get to add a game to the Patreon list. And we play a Patreon game once a month. And like I said, it's a much smaller list than the master list that we have. As for us, for next week, we won't be reviewing a game because we get 2 weeks to play the RPG, but we will be reviewing season 4 in its entirety, and we will be ranking the 12 games that we played this season. Those are always some of my favorite episodes to do, because me and Yaiser tend to argue a little bit on which games we hated and which ones we liked. So that's always fun. So check us out next week as we review season 4, and go check out Bill on his podcast, A Gamer Looks at 40. Take care, everybody.
Thanks so long. Appreciate it.